Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Metaphysical Hour. Tonight is Friday, January 12th, and I'm Julia Cannon. We've been talking ahead of the show, so hey, I don't know who I am, where I am, what I am tonight, because we've had a whole show before the show, and it's already convoluted like you wouldn't believe. So when I'm with these ladies, hey, it doesn't matter, does it? So as you can see, I'm with the mod squad here, my wonderful team. I'm so excited. This is my wonderful, wonderful ladies. Wonderful people. Yeah, exactly. High energy, and it's been showing. It's been crazy here. Okay. We have, before we get going here, just a couple of announcements as we enter the new year and all this new energy. We have some classes coming up because we have some new things coming up as well. The first official class we have coming up is in February next month. It's our Level 1 Companion class in Des Moines, Iowa. Yay! Susanne will be doing. Yes. And it's already got quite a few people in it, which is really cool. And that's really, this class is really cool, what's happening with it. So very excited about it. And anyway, so that's happening. If you want to know more about it, go to our website, and we might talk a little bit about it tonight as far as what that class is about and what it does. Anyway, go to QHHTofficial.com or DoloresCannon.com to get more information on the classes. And then we have that class, and then we have, let's see, that's February, March. Okay, then April. Trying to think, where are our classes? Okay, April we have level 2 class coming up, and then after that, that's when then everything starts really kind of coming into gear. I know it's a little bit later this year. It's because we have some things that we're working on that I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and that's why things are a little bit. It seems like there's nothing happening, but I've been promising you, there's a lot happening. So then all of a sudden, that's when it'll all start, you'll see it coming, and you're going, oh my goodness. So it's worth
just checking the website, right? For all these new things that are coming out.
Keep checking the website, and we'll put notices out as well as I'll keep telling you here. I'll keep taunting you here. That's what I do, right? Anyway, yeah, more wonderful things are coming. I promise you, it's all wonderful. So, anyway, so who I have here today or tonight? It's night, isn't it? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where I am, who I am, what I am. Yeah, what I am is a question too. So I don't know. Okay. Anyway, Mod Squad, yay! Our wonderful moderators from the QHHT official global forum. Yes. Suzanne Spooner, Diane Morrison, and Marilyn Dyke. I was like, make sure I get everybody's names right. I was like, almost, how about I combine names and make you all, you don't know who you are either.
We're all one.
Exactly, we're blended. Thing. So welcome everyone. So excited you're here. So thank you.
Thank you.
We have a special show that we're going to do tonight. This came about as we were exchanging emails. We do that. We have these group message emails that we do, and we were just talking about some things and just some oddity things that were kind of coming across our desks and things, or whatever you want to call it, and it was just, yeah, our radar, exactly. That's good. And it was just like, well, that's just really interesting. And then I think it was Suzanne just said, well, that might make a good show. And it's like, I think it would. And so, and that's how this came about. So, and then it became, okay, well, how is best to bring it out here so it doesn't, so we can bring it in the most positive light, because that's how we want to do it. So Suzanne, that was your idea. So how about you kick it off then?
Well, I think, we were in this conversation, we were really honing in on what is first, the best case scenario for people who are seeking QHHT session. What's a great QHHT session? What are the practitioners taught to provide? And then the conversation got to some information that comes into the office, and to each of us, we get emails daily from people that sometimes have some questions about things that happened in their sessions with different practitioners around the world, wondering if that was done properly or not. Or so we just thought it'd be maybe a good idea to talk about, what should be expected, I guess, to have a really great QHHT session, and then some things that happen that are probably not the most beneficial, just so people understand that there is a template that we hope that practitioners are following in order to serve the clients in their highest and best way.
Right. Yeah. Because like what we're finding a lot of times when people or potential clients call in is a lot of times it's a matter of educating. It's just knowing what is normal, like you saying, what is kind of expected, or sometimes it most of the time it's just expectations of what it should be, or whatever. And it's like, okay, or it's the nomenclature or something. And it's just, no, this is what is, it may be a range, it may be a this or whatever. And it's just, and so that's what we want to do today, is kind of give, this is what is taught, this is what is in the field. And so we're going to try and do our best to give you a better understanding of what
you can expect, what should happen in a great QHHT session.
Right, exactly. Okay, so where do we want to start with?
Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah. Where have we heard that before? Where's a good place? Start at the beginning.
Well, we have to start with Dolores in her sessions. You can go right back to the master of, how she conducted her sessions, which is how she taught all of us to conduct ours, right? Absolutely. And then sometimes, without, even sometimes without intention, they get off. So why don't we talk about how long a session should go?
Yeah. And that's a great place to start, because we're hearing things all over the place. And that was one of the things that when somebody called in, they were like, that's what they were hearing. It's like they were calling different practitioners, and some were telling them a session was 2 hours long and they were being charged for 2 hours long. And then some are saying, oh, there can be, they're 4 to 5 hours long, or 6, but they might go longer. So, and they were like, and that's when they called us. They said, well, why am I hearing so many different answers? And that's really, that was a good question, because, it's not like that. That's not what they're taught.
Yeah. No, and that's one thing I like to always emphasize when a client, a potential client contacts me, is that this may take much longer than 4 to 6 hours. So, and to be prepared for that, and to keep that day for themselves, because I set aside my entire day for them, day and evening really, and to allow it to be whatever it is. So I think they have to know it doesn't happen often, but there is the potential for that. So because I've had clients who have walked in and said, well, I have to pick up my kids at 3. Will I be done? Well, no, So just to know that there is the potential for it to go even longer, but definitely, a good session, a normal session, you're looking between 4 and 6 hours. Is that about the same for you guys? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, I had an interview last week that went 4 hours. That's the beginning of the session. That's not even before we get to the hypnosis part. So, that was a 7-hour session from beginning to end easily. So, I think, the way I like to put it is that it goes as long as it needs to go. I think when you start saying, it can only go 2 hours, it can only go 4 hours, if it's more than that, then we're going to have to change this. Then that messes everything up. It really just needs to go as long as it needs to go, because this is a day unlike any other in their life. And there's so much potential for great growth and understanding of their self that you don't want to rush it, and you don't want to feel like you're on the clock. And, both the client needs to know that, if they need to be picking up little people, that they have to have this arranged ahead of time. Because once you feel rushed, either the practitioner or the client in that scenario, you're not going to get as deep, and you're not going to have as much benefit. So, I just think, to be able to say this, we've got the day set aside. It's typically, at the very least 4 hours, and probably going to be 6 to 7 hours. And let's do the best that we can for you, and have no time limits. To me, that's just a hard place to start.
Well, I don't think it really works that well to have time limits in what we're doing.
We're so above and beyond, to infinity and beyond with this.
What is time? What time?
It's for the concept. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I just want to say too, like a 5-hour interview is not uncommon. And I'm just thinking today I had a gentleman who needed to get on the road by dark. We started at 8:30. We didn't get to the induction, the hypnosis part, until 1:20. And we could have gone on for a lot longer, because not everybody has a place where they can talk about their life, first of all, and what's been happening to them and why they're coming to session. We're all ears. We're truly doing this as the Universe did this. We are all here, and we don't have time because we're open to listen, and they're going to be able to say what they need to say with us, not anything on it. We really do make ourselves available like should we. So it's a labor of love. You can't even really say labor. It's really here. So lucky to do this work. It's all about loving and supporting our clients, allowing them to talk to them and your business. And that's a very atypical type of work. But the way this, so today, 7-hour sessions, and I felt like, because I knew that he had to get on the road, and I knew I had to do. But it's not tight.
Right. So, go ahead, Suzanne.
Well, I was just going to say, back to, what Diane's saying and how special this day is, how many days of our lives do we have time set aside where somebody is sitting with you and unconditionally and unjudgmentally is asking to hear your whole life story, to help you solve all the great mysteries of this life and to understand why you're going through what you're going through, either in your physical body or in your emotional experiences throughout this life. And, if it's shortened or abbreviated, or you're feeling like you're on a schedule, then you can't explore the way that you need to in order to receive the most amazing gift, which occurs in these sessions when they're done properly. I mean, this should be a life-changing day, unlike any other. And you want to be prepared for it, and you need to start off by not feeling rushed or on the clock.
Absolutely. And that's why and so there we go. That's why there is no limit to the time of the session. So
right. And I don't know, Diane, I'm going to ask, maybe if you sit a little bit closer to your laptop, you were kind of cutting out on me. I'm not sure if if others were picking up.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I didn't catch too much.
There you go.
Yeah.
When you lean forward, I could hear you a little better.
Okay. And now
Better.
I don't see Julia anymore right now.
Uh-oh.
I bet she'll be back on here in just a second.
Okay.
Am I?
You're you're everywhere, Julia, but
Oh, I know why it went out. I know why I did. Okay.
So, besides the, I guess if we want to kind of dissect this, so the things that we hear about happening sometimes in sessions that aren't so great is doing that interview perhaps ahead of time on a different day than the day of their actual session. And that doesn't work for a couple of reasons, right?
I think there needs to be that flow, that rapport that is that you establish during the interview. Then you want to flow right into the session. And if you have that separate days, there's no flow there.
Right. I think that's really hard. There she is.
I don't know who knows what's going on. I told you.
Getting our lesson again.
It's kind of a good example too of why we don't
Diane.
use technology for the in person.
See, that's why you don't do that.
Yeah.
There she is. She's back.
What was that?
Too much energy.
But see, this is why you don't use, this is proving her point. This is why you don't use this technology to do the session.
Skype session. Well, let's talk about that, shall we?
Yes. This is why you only do sessions in person.
Yeah. This is now. Let's talk about that because that was an adamant expression of Dolores that you never ever ever do sessions on a computer, that you don't do them on the phone. For these reasons that we're showing you, there's interruptions and the energy is high, and you can't disconnect from somebody, and you can't connect to anybody, I don't think, as deeply as you can one-on-one sharing that space, right? And if I might just take this moment to say, after Dolores passed over, quite quickly, there were people saying, oh, I've heard from Dolores from the other side, and she says it's okay to Skype now, because, things are progressing. And, I'm sorry, I've been involved with Dolores and Julia, from, since 2012 to now. I wouldn't feel that there's anything that has changed that would change the quality of what we're doing as long as we're doing it in person. And, those people that want to I don't know, that say that, Dolores has reached out from the other side and said, all of a sudden I changed my mind and hey, it's A-okay to do it by Skype. You just lose so much. I don't care how adamant you are that you can do this on here. As lovely as it is to see the three of you and to have this conversation, it is still much different than when we're in a room together talking. And if I was sharing my most intimate details about my life story, I'm sorry, this doesn't cut it for me, because I'm looking down at my dog here and my other dog over there, and my phone is on my lap, and I'm looking out my window. And when I'm in my office with a client, I am head to head straight across from them, and 100% of my attention and energy goes to them, and vice versa. And that's where the true beginnings of a deep and good connection begin, I think.
Yeah, it has to be in person. And yeah, we do know that people are doing a lot of different things out there, but this is to help clarify how you do it the way Dolores taught and the way she did it, so that we can set a template for people so they know what to look for.
And I think, we've all heard from clients who have had that experience of an online session, and, unfortunately, we probably hear, everything that goes wrong with them. And it's, that's too bad, because, what a missed opportunity to have a profound experience that it's just like, it's like, I don't know, 20% of what it could have been maybe, or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
Exactly. Yeah, and then they won't know it until they actually have the real thing. They
Right.
think it's because it probably is a good experience. They're getting let's just say it's an experience. They're getting an experience, and they think that's what it is, but they're not going to know until they get the real experience.
And they may or may not ever have that after their experience with whatever they have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is probably a good time to do this together.
Yeah.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah. Well, it really it really sets me off a little bit because, I understand, why people want to do over a computer. It's easier and you can reach more people, and there isn't travel costs involved. Pippa doesn't like it either. I understand that, but why short yourself this mind and heart expanding experience? When we have practitioners all over the globe, and hopefully, if there isn't somebody in your town doing it, there's someone close enough for you to travel to, and that's what it's about, is making that connection and trusting and being able to explore the deepest parts of your psyche in a way that's supported. And I just, when people ask me about it, I say, if somebody's telling you that they can do it on Skype, I would turn and run. That would be one of the last people I would ever have a session with.
Yeah, it's not QHHT at that point. If it's, going in that direction, it's no longer QHHT, pretty much. Yeah.
Right, and that's what I've been telling people when they're calling. They're saying that they can do this, that they can do this 2-hour session, that they can do X, Y, and Z in this 2-hour time slot. That's fine. They may be able to do this, but I'm telling you that that's not QHHT. And if you want what Dolores taught, then that's not what you're getting. And so then that's where we're educating. It's like, that's not it. And I just want you to know that's not it. So there you go.
Yeah, I think it's good to note that, in a session, we always ask our clients to have no expectations, and we have no expectations because it can go anywhere through through space. Really, it's limitless. But so there's very little parameters there, but this gives what we're talking about today gives the client something that they can in a modality that is very open and very fluid. These are some of the things that you can look for, that you want to look for in order to find the client that's the best fit or the practitioner that's the best fit for you.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point. And that's what we tell them is call practitioners in your area, make contact, call them, email them, whatever, and find someone who resonates with you. That's what you're looking for, and it's not the level necessarily that matters. It's you're wanting that person that you connect with, that you resonate with. Like Suzanne was saying, that one that you can trust, that you can bare your soul to, because that's what this is all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, and which brings up another point, is people are so confused about these different levels and what do they mean. And, ultimately, it's how do you resonate with that person?
Right.
That should be first criteria, and then you might consider the level. But really, it's that resonance between the person that is so important. That's going to make your session.
Yes. Yeah, because they've all been taught the same thing. They just have different levels or different, amount of time they've been practicing, really. And then as they keep going, they have honing, they have more that they've been taught, as far as really it's just honing and practicing.
Yeah.
So that's it.
And staying on track.
Yeah,
when we
they just keep getting more and more reminders, stay on track.
More new stuff comes out.
Yeah, I think, I tell people all the time, you can have a fabulous, perfect session with a level 1 intern, a brand new practitioner, just as much as you can with a level 3 or a level 2 or a regular level 1. Sometimes those brand new ones out of the gate, they're doing the session so pure to the way that Dolores taught, that that's kind of what made Dolores amazing, is that if you just follow the way she taught, you'd start having these great sessions. I remember being a brand new person in a level 1 class going, oh my gosh, there's no way I can have a session, like Dolores, and sure enough, I think it was my second session, it was absolutely amazing. So that level 1 intern is a newer, I guess it's a newer designation that you've made, Julia, right?
Yes, it's just to let people know that this person has just come out of a class and they're in their first 10. They're having, they're in their, they're right out of the gate and they haven't even gotten 10. They're doing their first 10 people. So
yeah, and so the gift of using a practitioner of connecting
their first 10, something like that. It's defined on the site exactly what it is.
Yeah, is that when they're in that time as an intern, they're gathering experience, right? They're because, as we just said, these sessions, people go all over time and space, and so you need to have a lot of sessions to really understand all these different it's infinity of what we connect with here, so you never get all of it. But the gift of that level 1 intern is that they receive experience from giving you a session, and because they're just starting out, this between you and the practitioner, but the session is free, or maybe you can give them a nice free will offering, but they haven't really set up shop yet because they're brand new. So you are helping them, they're helping you, and for those that can't or don't want to spend money or a lot of money in exchange for this or for more experience, I guess, that's a wonderful, wonderful way to have a QHHT session.
And I think it makes it really what can happen in session, what your session can be like. There's really, even in classes, those level 1s, they're coming back and they are having incredible sessions. And so, yeah, the potential is there. So take advantage of it. Yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah, I'm always amazed. That's my favorite day in the class is when they come back after practicing and they come back and share. So it's just, yes. Yeah.
Because they have everything that they need, and it is very fresh. Like you said, Suzanne, when I think about it, they're just doing it right out of the gate.
Excited.
They're taught, yes. And it works.
No bad habits formed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and then they get to, after they've done 25 sessions, then they can go to level 2. And that's where we're really honing their skills. We give them a lot to kind of juggle there out of level 1, and they do great with it. But level 2 is really kind of bringing it down to the fine tuning. And so, if you have a level 2 practitioner near you, they've gone through that experience and have had probably more sessions, and maybe they have hundreds of sessions. You just have to ask them. Everybody's a little bit different. There's level 1s that are probably some that are more experienced than level 2s. So that's why it's really important to send an email out, check out a website if they have that available, see how you feel about them, look at their picture listing on the Dolores Cannon and QHHT official websites, and see, where you connect with them. And then the level 3s are ones that are just, the ones that are the.
Yeah, what the difference with the level 3, actually, what it is, there's more honing, but what it is the level 3s are the ones that we know what you're doing. Really that's what the difference is. You've been approved, they've been approved, they've gone through everything. There may very well be level 1s and level 2s that are doing it exactly right, but we don't know about it. That's all it is. We don't know about it. They haven't gone through all the hoops that they have to go through to show us. You have to do a certain number of sessions and provide videos and do certain things to show us what you've done.
It's like checks and balances.
Exactly.
Everybody's staying on track with the true teachings.
Mm-hmm. And
peer review.
And that's all it is. And the ones that are level 3s have done these steps to show us that they are doing it. And then that's all it is. So I know exactly what they're doing. Yeah. And they've got the seal of approval on them that they are doing it just like Dolores, just like they were taught. So if that's what they're looking for, they want someone that does the pure QHHT method, just like Dolores taught it, then okay, go to one of these people. They will know that they're getting that. They may very well get it with someone else, but they can't be sure of it there. They can be sure of it with a level 3 person. That's the difference. That's it.
So why don't we talk about prices? Because sometimes that comes up.
Absolutely. And that's a very good point. That does come up a lot, and even in an area, there's in one area there can be a lot of different prices, and then definitely across a country there can be a lot of different prices, and then you take it out across the world, there are a lot of different prices. And then people ask us, well, even in the classes, they want us to tell them what to charge, and then clients call us and say, don't you have that regulated? And it's like, no, this is, the practitioners do not work for us. They are not our employees. They do not work for us. They are their own contractors. They're employed. They're their own employees, and they're their own people. They're in business for themselves. When they do this, they're their own businesses set to this.
Independent contractors. Yep.
Yes, and they set their own. So we tell them, my goodness, this is when you have cities versus rural areas, you have a broad range of what can be charged. And then you take one country to another country. There's broad ranges of what can be charged, as far as economic situations. So that's why you'll see the rates with such a broad spectrum. What we tell them is you're going to have to, look at similar services and then come up with rates that are, that work and, that feel right and everything like that. So they come up with their own rates. Now, it's up to you as the client to determine if that works for you. So it works both ways.
And, and then again, it's just like anything else. If you're in, I'm just going to give an example. If you're in London, and the practitioner needs to rent space and they have overhead and, the rates are going to be higher. Right. If you can go outside, maybe to Bath or Bristol or something like that, because those considerations are different, they're probably going to be less. So, you do have some options there if you can travel a little bit and move away from a bigger city, and sometimes it's, based off of some experience and, it's just, I think none of us really know how to put a price on what a client receives, because it's really truly priceless, when done the best way. So I think all of us are just trying to do what's most, what's fair, what we feel is a fair exchange for the time, the experience, our costs, overhead. In this industry, it's always funny to me because we always have that conversation. Well, it should be free, and it's like, well, yeah, but my landlord isn't into the fifth dimension yet. I still have to pay rent.
Yeah.
And
Right.
It's so interesting that you say that too, because every other service on the planet, there's an expectation that there's an exchange of money. So people that have, this desire to help people help themselves, why should it be any different in a way? I mean, I feel like this is like we're all evolving into understanding that, we're in service, but you can be reimbursed for serving too on a planet that charges admission. We do still have to pay our bills, and they accept love as payment yet. Someday. But
Yes.
I like to talk about Dolores a little bit, and Julia chime in, but didn't your mom practice for a long time as she was kind of honing in on the creation of QHHT? The lore, the folklore, and I love to hear from you if this is really how it is, that she didn't charge for a long time, and that she kind of traveled and she did whatever it took to practice and refine the technique. Is that true?
That is true. But she was in a position also where she was supported, so she didn't have to charge for, it was probably several years while she was practicing and everything. And then she was traveling, I think, up to 50 miles or more, to go to clients' places and, to just do what she had to do for the sessions. But yeah, that's what she did. And then after a while, just after a while, I think it was actually them. She always did more. And they had to kind of hit her over the head many times. And they'd say, it's time. They would always tell her, you've got to start charging.
Yeah.
And she would always be later. She'd be like, oh, I just don't know. So they would always.
Yeah. Well, that's
you got to start doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly to me. They, meaning the higher self, and they are relentless. Mm-hmm. And every practitioner goes through this. Well, for what I'm doing, how do you set a fair price? I don't. So, yeah, for me, it was the higher self that did it. And as long as I stick to that, I'm fine. So, it's a very malleable field here that we're in.
I think, Julia, in class, you gave a really good example of when, when the practitioners are ready to start charging, because we hope that they're gathering their information, using that as their payment, so to speak, for the first while. But you said it's, when people are offering free will offerings, when they're paying, what they can or what they feel it's worth, once you start getting the same amount a couple of times or really close to that same amount several times, they're telling you where you're at.
Right, because that's how, because I was doing the same thing whenever they were telling me to start charging when I was doing sessions, or when I started doing sessions and everything, and it was like, first they're telling me you start charging, and I'm like, I went through the same thing. I mean, like Diane said, not Marilyn, gosh, names. Just like Marilyn said, we all go through it. I went through the same thing, and I'm like, I don't know. It's much more comfortable not to charge anything. It really is. But they are yelling at us saying you have to start charging, and it's like, okay, then what? And then someone said, well, just ask for a free will offering. And I'm like, okay, that feels good. And so then it was like 2 or 3 people in a row gave the same amount. I thought, okay, I get the message. That's my rate. And so that's a wonderful indicator. Then that's how you let the universe guide. And that's how we do everything. And and like I was saying, like, Mom, that's where they kept telling her, you need to start charging. And then they would actually tell her the rate. They just came out and told her. And every time she needed to raise her rates, they would tell her. They would tell, a lot of times they would just say, you need to raise your rates. Sometimes they would tell her the amount, but usually if they just told her to raise them, that would be enough. And I think, Marilyn, you have a story on that one too, don't you?
Yeah, where they finally, I got mad during the session because they're breaking in on my client's session and give me advice.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, then you tell me what should I charge? Gave me a range, and so I elected to number, and it's been fine ever since then. They haven't broken in on any sessions.
Well, but that's what they'll do. I mean, and that's how they did Mom too. They were always, if you won't listen, that's how they'll give you your messages. they'll come in a session. So,
and sometimes if you like a puzzle, they'll give you a few 12-hour sessions and let you decide for yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
A couple of sessions where the person just doesn't want to, they just, I can't do this, and they get up and they leave. Like, what? Yeah.
So the universe provides.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah. And that's probably the biggest thing for as practitioners to understand is you will be taken care of. And that's, so just it's trusting. It's a matter of trust. And so that's where that goes. Follow the guidance. And that's what I'm saying, that we run the businesses that way. It's all guided. It's always guided. Everything we do is guided. So
yeah. And so that's why it is so different in so many, it would be impossible to set a worldwide cost for something like this, where so many hours, and there's just too much range.
Right. And that's where the closest thing we could do was just to say, okay, the intern, just don't charge to this point. Well, when they first start, just don't charge until they become an intern. Then they can start asking, for a love offering. And then up to this point, then they can start charging. That way, then there's some guidance, because some were charging right as they came out of the class. And we just didn't feel like that was fair, because you really don't know anything at that point. You're practicing, and that's not fair to charge right off the bat. You're
pressure.
Absolutely. So felt like we could do that much.
But that's why on the website, on that page of Find a Practitioner, we created some information there to act as guidelines for clients, things to be watching for and mindful of when you're contacting your practitioner, to make sure things are where they should be. So that's a really good resource for potential clients to be using.
Absolutely, and make sure everybody knows where that is. It's on the Find a Practitioner page. It's at the top there. You'll see a link that goes to another page that it just, like I said, it's guidelines to help you to have just a really good experience. It's just what to expect from your session. And it's got questions and answers, and then just a lot of good pieces of like what kind of questions you can ask. I'm trying to think what else is on there. Your tips, how to help yourself.
Great tips, the no Skype sessions, don't no Skype or Zoom or whatever technology. It's the one-on-one is always best. And I think it's kind of this is a day unlike any that anybody's had usually. This is sometimes people are coming into a session with very little knowledge or know-how of metaphysics or spirituality. I mean, this is really kind of like a free fall day for a lot of people, and so we're trying our best to not only supply the practitioners with all the tools that they need in order to serve the public in the best way possible, but we want the public to be prepared to find all their answers in healing within, because there aren't, I don't know. I mean, it's such a refined technique of finding all answers and healing within. And we want everybody to have that, that experience afterwards where they're just, like, wow, I can't believe I did that. I mean, we get to be just the lucky tour guides to take them through this amazing journey through their consciousness. And so, it just helps everybody to be kind of on that page of knowing what to expect.
Right. Yeah, because there are a lot of expectations. Especially from if they've read any of Mom's books. If any of you want to comment on that.
Well, sometimes, it's funny, I really try to practice. I'm not judging anybody about a session because, sometimes those ones that have really studied Dolores and read every book, sometimes they've got some expectations that, I'm from Sirius and I know that's where my life's going to be, or, I was a pharaoh, and maybe so, definitely maybe so, but may not be where they need to be guided at that day in order to find what they need to find. But sometimes, I just did a YouTube clip on this of the clients that come in that have no understanding of any of this. Somehow they end up in our offices, having sessions, and sometimes they're the easiest ones because
no expectation.
They don't. I mean, they don't even know an expectation to have.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
I know. But when I'm sitting with them, I have to, okay, how do we? Okay, I'm gonna have to rework this a little bit because you can't talk about the woo-woo. This high self.
To try and change the words you use to explain.
Yes.
You talk about the same things, but you have to use a different language almost sometimes.
Yes, that's it. That's and I think it's fascinating. I love working with those clients.
Yeah, and there are no expectations. I love it because I'm like, it's gonna be great. The less expectations, the better for us as well. But
and here's why I think why we really, really mean that is because we see in every single session, do we not, that when the client allows himself to be relaxed enough to be guided by that part of them that knows everything, that part will always, always take them exactly to the place or the time that they need to see in order to help understand their issues more clearly. And it's just, sometimes it's in the younger part of the current life. Many times it's in other times and places. And, sometimes after listening to their life story and they're going through a life or a younger time in this life, as practitioners, we're sitting beside them going, oh, yeah, I totally get why they're showing them that. And then sometimes, I think we're sitting beside them going, what the heck, but by the end of the session with that great subconscious that knows everything, it will take all those loose strings and go boop, and everything makes sense. And I mean, how can every session be that way? It's just so amazing what Dolores helped us to understand by surfing their consciousness this way. But this gentleman that I worked with recently that didn't have any concept of this went back mostly to the childhood of this life to see really pivotal events that he had forgotten about. Some were, that were happy, some were not. But they totally shaped him and made him understand as a 71-year-old man why his life was this way. But I love this. The SC put one little memory of him being able to be in a pyramid and floating up to the top. And this is like, I don't believe in past lives. I don't, I have this spiritual mumbo jumbo, I just, hogwash, but there he was like floating in the pyramid. And I'm like, how does that feel? And he's like, this is great. And I'm like, no, enjoy this. But when I was talking to his subconscious, I know why, we talked about why it showed him the childhood stuff. I'm like, so why did you show him the pyramid and the floating in the pyramid? And it says, well, we just wanted him to see that, there's a lot more experience out there than what he's giving credit for. And he can go to that anytime he wants to in his mind. And, how perfectly orchestrated, right?
Yeah. We'll just open the door a little bit if you want. Give him a peek.
Yeah. And he got exactly what he needed. So that's why we really love for practitioners to offer a session in the way that they were taught to do so. And it makes us cringe a little bit when we hear these adjunct things that are happening, because if you do it right, the way you were taught, then the client has all that opportunity to hit those, one gold mine after another in a session. So that's why we care.
Yeah.
And, is it, because I know people, they have this expectation that they're necessarily going to go to a past life, when really, of course, we know there's no such thing as time. Here we go. But, there's nothing wrong with a session where you go to present life scenes, because those are very valuable. There's always, just know that there's always something there for the person. So you could go to a present life scene. Sometimes, you just have an experience in some wonderful place, like floating up at the top of a pyramid. That is, you're never going to have that experience again in this life, probably. It's, and I just enjoy it. And, as the client, just be open to enjoying whatever it is, floating in space. I mean, how cool is that? And how often do you get to do that? And that may be the whole point to that first part of the session. Your higher self wants you to have that unlimited experience. And it's so fun to listen to them try to explain, well, do you feel any definition to the body? Well, no, I'm limitless, to have that experience and try to put it in words. I mean, it's just, it's impossible. So sometimes, that is the most important thing. And then your higher self wants to talk, wants to tell you answer all your questions and tell you about it. So you never know what is the most, in going into it, what is the most important part of your session. You just have to let it happen.
Right. And that's the big thing, is the directive that's given throughout is that the SC is running the show. And they are from before the client ever even comes in, they know what they are wanting for the client to experience, why they're even bringing them there. And so they know what they want to show them. And so wherever they're going, that's what the SC wants. And that's the directive that's given in the session, is to take them to the most appropriate time and place. So if they don't go to another life or whatever, that wherever they go is where they are supposed to go. Yes. So that's where it's just trust. Practitioner is trusting the client. We want the client to trust as well. Just trust whatever is happening. Just go with it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. You can't do it wrong.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I think that's why we are all facilitators and just guides. We aren't creating this. We aren't really directing where the person goes. We don't have a stake in this. We're here to be facilitators. And I think that's where it's easier to stay on track with Dolores's teachings as a practitioner if you understand it's not about you. You're the facilitator, you're the guide. There's absolutely nothing you're doing as a practitioner that's special or different, if you're doing it correctly, than any other practitioner, because it's not about us. And I think that when people do tend to get off track, it's because they want to make it about them, and then you shift the whole concept of this work. We are just facilitators here. It's not about our ego needs. It's not about making a stake in the world for a special technique. We're lucky that we get to practice what Dolores created. So I'm happy to let my ego needs go and just do it like she told me to do it, because you can't get any better than that, So I think there's this point here about like, we're nobody special. We're all special, but we don't need to tweak anything. We don't need to change anything. Dolores really refined everything for us so she could just hand it to us and we could receive it nice and neat and tidy. It still works exactly like it did for her when we do it like she did it. So I just want to emphasize that it's not about the practitioner. It's nothing special about us. If we do it like Dolores told us, we get the same results she got, and it's really not about individual highlighting. It's about doing it as closely as we can to the way your mom did it, Anyway,
I think that's a wonderful point, and we are actually at time, so I think that's a wonderful place to end it. But real quick, I would like each of you to just very quickly tell people how they can contact you if they would like to. So, Diane, you're on the screen right now, so if you want to start with you, just how can people find you?
Yep. I mean, I have a Gmail email account. You can send me questions. It's healingworkssalon, all one word, at gmail.com, or, and this is silly, but my website is, oh my gosh, www.healingworks-salon.com.
Okay, Marilyn?
Well, you can contact me through QHHTofficial.com or DoloresCannon.com. I can give you my email address, but it's really long. It's bodysoulapotheca@AOL.com. So it's just easier to contact me through the website, really.
Okay, and Suzanne?
My website is my name, Suzanne Spooner, QHHT.com, and you can email me through there. That works really, really well.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you, ladies, and it's been wonderful. And I hope.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys.
And thank you, everyone. And I hope this has been good to help clarify some things about QHHT and to help you to go out and have the most wonderful, wonderful session that you could possibly have. That's, go have a wonderful journey. That's what it's all about. So anyway.
Adventure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, these are wonderful adventures. So anyway, till next time. Yeah. I love you all. I love you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Everyone. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Metaphysical Hour. If you enjoyed this show, please like it below and share it with your friends. Oh, and remember to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to hear more. Thank you so much.